Coach, Jalen's talked about how you helped him before you were the receivers coach. You were in the QC role. You were helping him sort of navigate last season and some of his disappointments. What's it been like from your standpoint watching him take off like he has this season?
It's been good. I think because, like the first part you mentioned, is being a part of that story the entire way. It's cool to see it play out into fruition. Similar to Velus, kind of had some similar struggles early, was able to battle through and see success. I think the biggest win in both of those stories, Jalin and Velus, is the younger guys being able to see, like, it's not all about immediate success. It's not all about an immediate result. Like, you got to kind of go through the process, and eventually it'll be worth it. I think that's the most valuable piece.
Adam and Ben?
Sort of following up on Jalin, did you and Cody Burns like talk about that? That's like a mystery you guys have to solve. Did you see Jalen's talent and think we got to get this figured out?
Yeah, I think that's the plan with all the guys. Like, I feel like each guy in the room, you got to find a way to get the most out of everybody. And the cool thing about it is, as the season goes on, like, some guys decide and choose to prepare the right way, and then you'll see them be successful. And some, it takes longer. But I think you have that idea for every single guy in the room. You have to coach them hard.
Was there any point, like in the spring or summer or anything, where you maybe went to the other coaches and said, I think Jalen's turned the corner?
Man, I can go back to a couple. I remember specifically in spring, there was a drive. We play really fast, you guys know, but there's a drive in practice where he's tapping his chest and he wants to come out. And I'm telling him, no, like, you're going to stay in and you're going to play. And that drive, he caught like 3 or 4 balls. It's like a 2-minute drive we were simulating versus the defense. And he caught like 4 or 5 balls in that drive while he was tired. And, like, at that point, I'm like, okay, this kid kind of has it. Like, he's turning the corner. And I think the next part was after the spring and the summer, man, just the work he put in. I challenged those guys to catch 10,000 balls in the month of June and July, and Jalin went for like 13,000, 14,000. He was in here all time of night catching balls on the jug. So I think at that point, I really saw it because it's all about the work you put in.
Kelsey, you mentioned the younger guys and how great of an example Jalin and Velus are for those guys. Just what have you seen from your younger guys as they've developed these last 2 months? Squirrel had some success on Saturday. What have you seen from him? And then also Chaz finally getting onto the field.
So individually, those guys. So Squirrel, man, I think is starting to get more confident. You see him playing, and he was already fast, and he's playing at a different speed. I think because he's confident with what we're doing and how we operate. Chaz is a bigger body. He's gotten really confident lately as he's gotten back on the field. He's a guy that plays fast. He just has to be comfortable with what we're doing and also bringing that piece of physicality. But these last couple practices, he's done a really good job. And for Caleb Webb, he's obviously been here. He's played the 1 and the 4, a couple different positions. But he's doing a good job as well of continuing to progress, and he's not allowing special teams in different roles to take away from him on offense. He's doing a good job of taking on all that stuff.
Jimmy, then Reese.
A couple things. Would you talk about the progress of Ramel Keaton and how he has come through in the absence of Cedric Tillman?
Absolutely. Ramel is a guy that you always saw flashes every now and then, but it'd be one play where he takes a step back. You know, he'd go two or three steps forward and then one back, and you just weren't sure if you could get it out of him. I think when Ced went down, Ramel took accountability on himself, and, man, he's preparing at a whole different level because at this point, like, he's the guy. Like, we are counting on him. And I think that goes back, man, really to our room and the camaraderie in our room. Like, I feel like Ramel feels like at this point he can't let his teammates down, and that's added on some urgency to him in the way he's preparing.
And what does it mean to you? It seems like after a receiver catches a touchdown pass, they seek you out for a celebration.
It means I'm the best dancer, so. Nah, it's fun to do, man. I remember being those guys and being on the field, and it always gave me great joy running back with my coach, the guy that I sweat blood and, you know, I cried for. Like, I put, you know, everything I had into that guy. It always made a big deal to me when I got back to the sideline, and he was the first one to congratulate me. That always meant a lot, so I wanted to make sure I paid that forward every time.
I was actually just asked that same question, but I guess Jalin Hyatt says you mean a lot to him and that you were always there for him. I know we've asked that already, but why do you put so much effort into your guys? Why do you care for them, love them so much?
Man, I think because I've been through it. Like, I've been the guy who was 19, 20 years old. like looking for someone to come in and give me answers and to mentor me. And I'm just trying to be the guy that I needed at their age, honestly. It's not about me at all. The biggest benefit I get out of that is seeing those guys go be successful and then build confidence in themselves. That's where I get satisfaction from, truly.
Rob, then Austin.
Coach, with the level Jalen's playing at and the trust that Hendon seems to have in him, how dangerous or tough are you guys going to be to defend when Cedric does come back?
I think the more guys you have that make plays, I think you're always dangerous because obviously that affects the defense and whose eyes can go where. You create one-on-one matchups because you can't double or keep more eyes on one guy. Like, I think that's always important and always lethal for an offense to have. For us, we got to shut our ears off. Like, when there's noise, we can't pay attention to it, and when there's chatter talking about us, we can't pay attention to it. Like, we got to continue to keep the process being our focus and continue preparing the way we are. Like, that's got to be our main focus.
Kelsey, when you got promoted, we saw the current guys that are really excited for you. Talking to recruits, they talk about how really, you do a nice job building relationships. Where does that come from? When did you kind of become a relationship guy? Was it at an early age? Was it in college? Was it after you got out of college? When was it?
Yeah, I think it was early on. Like, I always value family, always value that feeling of wholeness of a group. I think for me, that's why sports is something I threw myself into at an early age, because just having a group and coming together with one common goal for me just kind of took me over the top anytime I was in an environment like that. So for me, relationships has always been the main thing. It's part of the reason why I came here to Tennessee with Coach Hyatt and Coach Golders. It's because when I met those guys, right off the bat, it stood out that they're relationship-oriented and that fit kind of my temperament and who I was. And I don't think you can ever create a bad environment when you got guys that truly value relationships. I think it's always genuine and it's always real. And I think that helps everybody become their best.
West and Brent.
Kelsey, obviously the past 4 games without Seth have gone pretty well, statistically. But when he first goes down and you learn, okay, this is probably going to be at least a few weeks, what was your confidence level like, or what did you think? Did you think the group could just keep right on going like he wasn't gone?
Man, my first thought was this is where we earn it. Like, Seth's a great player. Like, you love him. You love all those guys. He's a great player. But when he went down, like, this is where we earn it, right? Like, somebody's got to step up, and, like, we got to turn up a notch. Like, that was exactly my focus. Usually in those moments where we face adversity, it's coming, you just don't know when. And in that moment, like, that's time for you to make a choice to prove to yourself, like, hey, my preparation, who I am, is really true. And so our guys, I kind of had that conversation with them after as a group. And, man, they stood on it. They went to work. And up to this point, they prepared the right way. So I've been pleased with the way those guys have prepared and the way they've came on and gelled together as of late. That same mentality has to be on through the rest of the year.
Coach, 2 things here. One, Jalin bobbled that ball from Princeton fan, but otherwise you guys have not had any real issues with drops. Why is that? And 2, how do you keep Cedric from getting too much rust as a receiver aside from running? But what has he done? What have you done with him during this rehab process to keep him polished as a receiver?
So for one, the ability to catch the ball at the wideout position is all focused. Like, we do a great job in practice of forcing those guys to over-exaggerate their eyes on the catch in any scenario, whether it's contested, whether it's down the field. You want to always over-exaggerate your eyes, knowing that in the game, because bullets are flying and my anticipation is up and I got more anxiety, like, you're going to be sped up. So you want to over-exaggerate things in practice. And as far as said, kind of helping him, for one, Coach Hype does a great job of keeping our legs under us as receivers with the way we practice and our plan as, our practice plan. And for us, it's just not putting too much on Sid too fast. Like we saw him, the last couple of weeks, he's made progress every day. And as he continues to make progress, it's ultimately going to be up to Sid and Coach Hype when they feel like the kid's 100% and he's going to play. He's done a tremendous job of being in the building, in the training room, getting treatment. Like, he showed progress every single week. And ultimately, when he's ready, he feels like he's 100%, and Coach Hype feels that way also. You guys will see him on the field making more plays.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.